Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Juditha, and on this channel we talk about all things mindset. We talk about your goals, your dreams, your insecurities, your fears, all of the things that go into creating your dream life, the things that are happening in your mind, because I'm going through the same thing. So trust me when I say that I get it. Okay, so today I want to talk about something that has definitely been on my mind, and I know that if I'm thinking about it and if I'm struggling with it, then you probably are too. So something that has been on my mind a lot is like the fact that our brain is just wired to be negative. Like our brain is wired to seek out the negative, to go straight to what's going to go wrong, what's not going to work, why you can't do it. And it's like for me, I've definitely been going through that these last couple of weeks, and I think it's even more frustrating to go through that when you see yourself as somebody who's like very self-aware, and like you see yourself as somebody who is usually like very very good at managing their mind, which is exactly how I see myself. So when I'm having this negative mindset, right, and I feel like I'm just not as in control of my thoughts as I usually am, like it's definitely annoying and it's frustrating, right? But some things that I do to like remind myself of like why it's okay that that is what's happening in my brain, why it's okay that I am being more negative than usual, right? And how I make it not mean anything about me is that I just normalize the fact that this is what brains do, okay? So that's like the very first thing I even want to say is like the way how your brain, like scientifically, how your brain is set up, it's gonna always look for what's gonna go wrong or what could go wrong. And that's just your brain's negativity bias, right? And what that means is we have a tendency to focus on the negative before the positive. And the reason we do that is because it's a survival mechanism, right? When you are focused on the danger, what could go wrong, like how taking this step out of your comfort zone could make you feel bad, like when you're focused on everything negative that has to do with the situation, your brain's way of trying to prepare ahead of time to be okay, right? It's your brain's way of sometimes just trying to make you stay exactly where you are so that you don't try, so that you don't have to feel what it feels like to fail, or what it feels like to be embarrassed, right? Or what it feels like to have to like be courageous when you don't feel it at all. So our brains are just wired to be that way, and it's been that way for years. And it worked back when we were like living in caves, like when we needed to really focus on survival because there was like 1,001 ways to like die very easily. Like that's when that part of our brain really really came in handy. So I just want to say normalize it. Like there's nothing wrong with you. If there's one thing that I learned in all these years, it's that, right? It's that knowing that my brain is going to be negative and then normalizing it, because the thing about us human beings is like things that we see as normal, we don't make a big deal about it. And we don't make a big deal out of it, then it's easier to get past things. Let's say morning traffic. Like if you're someone who have to commute to work, usually morning traffic is terrible, or even like 5 o'clock traffic. Like that is annoying. And I know because I've been there. I used to have to get into traffic in the morning and then get into traffic on the way back home, and I hated it. But here's the thing, even though I hated it, and every time I had to do it, like I didn't like it, it became normal for me, right? It became normal to the point where I didn't complain about it anymore, because it was what it was. Like this is just normal. Like if I'm gonna be going to work and coming home, this is what I'm gonna experience. So at some point in time, I just normalized it. So I didn't make it a big deal anymore. It just was what it was. And you probably feel this way too. Like there was probably a time when that drive home from work like really annoyed you, and maybe it still does, but now it's like it's just normal. Like it is what it is. And that's the same way you have to look at your brain doing what it does. When you know that it's not just something that's happening to you, then it's easier to deal with, right? Like for example, I know that the struggle that I feel sometimes to show up online, or the negative thoughts that I have, the imposter syndrome, like when those things come up, like I know that I'm not the only person that feels that. I know that anyone who is doing something similar to what I'm doing, anyone who is doing something, anything that is new, like you're gonna feel that you're gonna have negative thoughts about it. You're gonna have doubt. You're gonna be insecure because you've never done it before. So it is your brain's natural tendency to be like, yo, I don't really know if I could do this. Like I'm afraid. I don't know if we should try. But if you can become someone who is okay with that, like for me, I'm just at the point now where like I don't identify with the negativity that my brain tries to like spew, because I realize that the more attention I give to it is the more I'm gonna start to make that my reality, right? It's the more I'm gonna start to behave like that negative thought that I have is actually true. Another thing that keeps us stuck in like the negative thinking and just like having that negative mindset is that your brain has what's called a reticular activating system. And the way how I like to like explain this to my clients is that it's like the TSA for your mind, right? So just like how TSA in the airport, like their job is to only let through the things that are allowed, right? Like there are certain things that can't be let through, and their job is to screen for those things and make sure that nothing is getting in that it's not supposed to. And that's the same thing that this RAS is doing in your brain. Like it's something that you have built in already, right? So what this actually means is that anything that you pay attention to, you are telling your brain to let in more of that. So if you are somebody who is negative and you feel like you cannot outgrow this negative mindset that you have been giving attention to the negativity in your life, like the negative feelings, the doubt, like the uncertainty. You have been given so much attention to those negative things that you've already basically told your brain to keep letting in things like this, because this is where my attention is, and where your attention goes is where something grows, right? So if you consistently are focusing on the problem, you are telling your brain to keep focusing on the problem. You are telling your brain to keep bringing you proof that there actually is a problem, right? You are giving your brain the green light to keep bringing you thoughts that aren't serving you and that keep making you feel like you're stuck or that you can't get out of this, right? The way how you reprogram your mind to stop focusing so much on the problem, on what's going wrong, you have to direct your attention to the things that you want to grow. So if you want to find more solutions to all the problems that you have, then redirect your brain to that more. Like if you want to be able to feel better about yourself, if you want to be able to raise your self-esteem, your confidence, have more courage, all you have to do is keep feeding your brain information that aligns with those things, and then your brain will keep searching for those thoughts and those feelings and those emotions that are associated with whatever you are focused on. Okay, so basically in a nutshell, what I'm saying is whatever you think about is what you're going to get more of. The more that you entertain the negative thoughts, the negative feelings, is the more that your brain is going to bring you proof and evidence that you should keep feeling that way, right? So you have to intentionally direct your focus to how you want to feel and what you want to think about and the goals that you have and how you're going to be able to achieve them. Like that's where you have to place your attention, because when you place your attention on that, that's exactly what's going to grow. So rewiring your brain to think like this is not like a one and done thing. Like it's not going to happen overnight, right? Because you've been thinking the same things for a long time. I'm not worthy. I'm broke. I don't have enough. No one loves me. There's no support here. I can't grow in this environment. It's the economy's fault. Any thoughts that you have that aren't serving you, that you've been thinking over and over and over and over and over again, this is why when you try to create affirmations like I'm abundant, I'm successful, I can be a millionaire, it won't work if you've been thinking these other negative thoughts for years, for months, right? Your brain is wired to think negatively, right? So what you have to do is slowly but surely start to rewire your brain to think the thoughts that you want to think instead. And what that looks like is creating statements that you can believe, right? And I talked about this before in another video, but so this is what this would look like. If you have been struggling with feeling abundant, right? If you are someone who has said time and time and time and time again, I'm just broke. I don't have it. I never got it. I can barely pay the bills. If whether those things are true or not, it does not matter. They just don't serve you to think about, right? Because the thing is, your reality, your current reality keeps you stuck when you keep thinking about everything that is wrong in the current reality, instead of thinking about how the current reality won't exist forever, right? And what I'm basically trying to say is you won't be here forever, right? But if you continue to focus on the things that are missing from where you are right now, from your reality, then it'll keep you in a cycle of never paying attention to what you need to do to grow out of where you are. This is what you want to do. You want to reach for thoughts that you can believe easier. So if you've been thinking those negative thoughts for a long time, instead of trying to go from I'm broke to I'm successful, I'm a millionaire, if that is too hard for you to believe, like if when you say those words, you don't feel it in your body, like it just feels off, or like you feel anxious, or your stomach turns a little bit, or you feel like a little knot in your stomach because you're like, I don't actually believe that. Like that's normal. Remember, your brain is wired to do this. It's wired to be like, whoa, we've never thought thoughts like this. Like I've never thought of myself as abundant, and now I want to be abundant. Like no, it's not going to happen. So what you have to do is, maybe you can't say I'm abundant. Maybe you have to say things will get better eventually, right? Can you believe that? Can you believe that abundance isn't something I have to create? It's just something I have to learn to let in. Can you believe that? It's like whatever thought that you can believe that takes you one step closer to believing that you could be a millionaire, that's the thought that you want to grab onto. You don't want to jump from one thought all the way to a thought that feels miles away, because that's where a lot of people suffer and struggle, right? And that's where a lot of people say, well, this isn't working for me. Like affirmations don't work. And the thing is, you just can't create any type of affirmation and think it's going to work. Like you need to specifically personalize your affirmations so that it makes sense for where you are and where you're going. Okay. For me, something that's very easy for me to believe is that everything is always working out for me. So that might be the thought that I hold on to, right? Is that no matter what reality is showing me, my job is to just try something, evaluate it, and try again. Like evaluate it and try again. And in the meanwhile, like I have to try my best to enjoy where I'm at, because I won't be here forever. But if I am sad, if I am struggling, if I am stressed because I'm here, then it's as if I'm telling the universe, I feel like I'll be here forever. It's as if I'm telling God, I don't actually believe that you're going to help me get to the next phase in my life, right? And it's being contradictory. If you say you have faith, then you have to show it. You have to live in it. And it's not always easy, right? It's not always easy for me either. But this is the process of becoming. This is the process of creating your dream life. It's very, very, very simple, but we just make it harder than it has to be. So just remember, your brain is wired to be negative. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you if you feel like I always think negative. The problem is when you actually just allow the negative thoughts to become who you are, right? If you actually cannot find a way to separate, oh, I'm thinking negative, I'm doubting myself, from, you know what? That's actually not who I really am. Okay, who I really am is a spiritual being having a human experience. And I don't have to make every thought that I think, I don't have to believe it. I don't have to make it mean anything about me. Okay, nothing has gone wrong here. I just have a human brain and it's doing what a human brain does. Okay. This is a message for me. It's a message for you. It's a message for all of us, because I know it's something that we forget, but it's something that is literally so important to remember, because then when we are faced with challenges, when things come up, it's just so much easier to know that I am a human at the end of the day. And my brain is set up to function like this. However, I have control. I can rewire it. If I'm willing to be patient, if I'm willing to be consistent, eventually I will have the mindset that I want to have. Like I will be able to focus on solutions more than I do problems. Okay. So apply these tips. Tell me how they work. Leave a comment and tell me if any of this resonated with you. And if you're interested in working with me one-on-one in my program, Dreams to Reality, I'll leave the link in the description box so you can go ahead and apply. Again, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video.